Welcome to part 2 of the Premier League preview, brought to you by sportsbet.io. Always, if you want more of this content from not just football, but we cover the NFL and NBA as well, do like and subscribe. For part 1, you'll get the guys' thoughts regarding Liverpool, Chelsea, Wolves against Manchester City, Man United against Brentford. Right now we are focusing on the rest of the games for Matchday 8, and we'll start with Spurs against West Ham, which is the game that gets underway for Matchday 8, 12:30 on Saturday. Spurs are 1.49. Can you trust them at that price? West Ham are 5.6 and 5.1 for the tie. Paul, I come to you first. Your club, close connections to Spurs. What's your thinking in this one?
Goals, goals, goals. Neither of these two can defend. West Ham's season hasn't really got off, has it? Talk of Lopetegui losing his job before the Ipswich game last week, which was, to me, was crazy. Ipswich at home is a game that they had to win, and they did 4-1. They got the goals. They looked a lot better. They looked a little bit more organised. They do leak goals. They're susceptible. As are Tottenham. I mean, I was at the Tottenham-Brighton game. I mean, I've never seen two contrasting halves of football. Tottenham were absolutely brilliant in the first half and then awful in the second half. Said in commentary at half-time, you know, they're talking about how dominant Tottenham were, and then 2-0, it was how many they're going to go on and win by. I've said, look, this is Tottenham. If they concede 1, they'll concede 3. And guess what? They did. Something's got to change with the way that they defend the goals that they're conceding. Definite prediction in this one. Goals and cards. There's a real dislike between the two set supporters, which does feed down onto the pitch. It's a real derby. This is as big as the Arsenal game for some Tottenham fans. Certainly for West Ham fans, there's a real dislike. So there's cards on the pitch. Brennan Johnson's in the form of his life. Scored another one for Wales in the international break. So you weigh in here. There's loads of ways into this game. There's both teams to score. Brendan Johnson to score. And always what I like to do is whoever's marking Brendan Johnson, stick them down for a card, because he's so quick, Johnson, when he goes on the outside, cuts on the inside, a little nick, whoever's marking him on the day is liable to pick up a yellow card. So that's another good way into bet. But definitely goals in this one.
Spurs have actually won more Premier League games against Manchester City than they have against West Ham, which is a phenomenal stat. You wouldn't have thought that. Also, Spurs have lost 4 of their last 6 Premier League London derbies. So they've lost 4 of their last 6 against London sides, which is many defeats as they had in their previous 16. Two sides a little bit out of form. Question marks over their manager. Is West Ham a bit of a play for you, Neil, at 5.6, or are you just going for goals in this one and a home victory?
Yeah, don't trust Spurs. Don't trust Spurs at all. I mean, 2-0 up at Brighton. Have they not got something from the game? You know, that is a problem for Spurs. They're 9th in the league, and they're a team who want to be in the top 4. And the way they're playing at the moment, just don't see it. Just don't see how they're going to do that. Don't trust them, certainly at that price, at home against anybody. West Ham will make it difficult. Paul's mentioned the rivalry already. West Ham turned them over, don't forget, last season, 2-1. Bowen, Ward-Prowse getting on the score sheet. So, yeah, I'm all over West Ham to get something. Neither team have done well for clean sheets this season. West Ham got that big win against Ipswich last time. Yeah, I'm on them to get a draw in this one. 9th v 12th. There we go, Spurs. They need to improve quickly.
Mid-table clash, of course. I will tell you that West Ham have got 8 points so far this season. 3 of those have been games at home. 5 of them have been away from home. They're actually travelling better than they play at home. West Ham, a little bit like Chelsea that we spoke about. Right, okay, score prediction. I'll come to you first, then Neil. I'll come to you first. Score prediction, Spurs against West Ham.
Yeah, West Ham to get something. Both teams to score. Spurs 1, West Ham 1.
Brilliant. Oh. I love that. Thank you very much. That was the scoreline when these teams met at West Ham last time out. Paul, your thoughts, please. Your score prediction.
More goals in this. More goals in this. And the stat in this, both teams have scored in 7 of the last 9 meetings, and 7 of West Ham's last 9 Premier League away games saw both teams score as well. So it's a definite both teams to score, and I think there'll be goals and cards. 3-1, Brennan Johnson on the score sheet. 3-1 Tottenham.
3-1 Tottenham. Here's another stat for you that Spurs fans may not be aware of. This will be the 8th time that Spurs and West Ham have faced each other. The first game after an international break, Spurs have lost none of them. So Spurs against West Ham, we've covered that one. Fulham against Aston Villa, just shifting to another part of London. Fulham at 2.46, Aston Villa at 2.82, 3.5 for the tie. Right, Paul, come to you first. Fulham against Aston Villa.
Villa, surprisingly, last time out, draw. Fulham, they are what they are for me. They put on a good show away at the Etihad. I thought they had a real go. I think Aston Villa away from home Aston Villa are a good team, but Fulham are different at home, aren't they? Hard one to call, but I think Villa nick this one. I'm going to go for an away win, Villa 2-1.
2.82 for Villa to win by 2-1. Fulham lost this exact same fixture 2-1 in Feb last year. They've never lost consecutive home league games against Aston Villa before. No team has scored more goals from crosses than Aston Villa, and yet from set pieces, Fulham are the only side yet to score from a set piece as well. So you've gone for 2-1 for Aston Villa. What's your thinking and score prediction, please, Neil?
Yeah, Fulham are unbeaten at home. Villa unbeaten away. Both have only had one clean sheet this season, so both teams to score. I like Fulham, and I'm on Fulham to win this one. Fulham 2, Villa 1.
Depending on a complete turnaround, then you've gone for an Aston. I like it when you completely disagree. It's a Villa win for Paul and a Fulham win for Neil. Actually, depending on the scoreline in this one, if Fulham do pick up all 3 points, they will actually go above Aston Villa in the table. So a complete contrast in score predictions for Fulham against Aston Villa. Next up is what I think both sides would dub a must-win. Ipswich at home to Everton. Ipswich at 2.42. Everton are 3.05. Everton 3.05 over 3 to an away at Ipswich. 3.35 for the tie. Neil, I am definitely coming to you first in this one. What's you thinking?
Away win. Ipswich haven't won in the Premier League since 2002. A 1-0 home victory against Middlesbrough. Who scored the goal? The last time Ipswich won in the Premier League, April 2002, 1-0 at home to Borough. Who got the goal for Ipswich?
I want to say Marcus Stewart.
Both wrong. This lad went on to play for England. Definitely didn't for Ipswich. Might have even been a teammate of Robbo's.
Darren Bent.
Was he your teammate?
Yeah, at Tottenham.
Yeah.
And now he's come out as a huge family. He's come out as a massive Arsenal fan. He's been smoking mirrors all
Anyway, that was the last time Ipswich won a game in the Premier League. Everton haven't won away since before Christmas. We've had Christmas since Everton last won away, but I'm on them to win. Yeah, I think Branthwaite's been back training. A couple of others are back. Everton got that good result against Palace, drew against Newcastle. I'm on an away win. Ipswich 1, Everton 2.
Wow. Do you know what? I think that Ipswich result against Aston Villa was huge for them, because they could have absolutely, you know, when Aston Villa went 2-1 up and he went, oh, here we go, we could get absolutely turned over. I've got horror stories as a Sheffield United fan from last year going, we'd have probably lost that 5-1, 6-1. But to their credit, Ipswich Town did come back and get a point. And a point against Aston Villa, that almost feels like a victory for Ipswich. So I would imagine their confidence is fairly high. Where are you going in this one, Paul?
I'm like Neil. I think Everton will get the job done. I don't think this is going to be pretty. I don't think it's going to be one for the purists, this game at all. These are games that, can we talk about 6-pointers already? You look at where Crystal Palace started the season, you chuck Ipswich into the bottom 3. I mean, they're only a point out of it. Everton, Ipswich, Palace, Southampton, Wolves, you look at the gap that's starting to open up now with these lot down there. Ipswich, Everton, this is going to be a massive game for both. I think Everton have just got that experience. I think they've got the strength. I think they're rugged. They're hard to beat at times. I think they'll go there with a game plan. And this is another one of the staple diet Premier League tests for Ipswich, if you like. And I don't think they beat them. I think Everton win 2-0.
Oh, right. Not even a goal for Ipswich in this one. Ipswich, by the way, no team has scored more goals. Bearing in mind we've got Brentford who scored very early. No team has scored more goals in the opening 50 minutes of Premier League games this season than Ipswich, which is a phenomenal stat. I will also tell you that Everton are unbeaten in their last 5 Premier League meetings with promoted sides. If Everton don't win this one and they do lose, just a question about Sean Dyche. I know we've had that about Gary O'Neill. What about the question marks about the Everton manager?
No, he's fine until the ownership changes. I don't think there's an issue. They need the football club to be in the Premier League for the takeover to happen, for everything off the field to become stabilised. It's almost unthinkable for Everton to go into a new stadium next season without Premier League football. Takeover happens, changes will happen, new owners will have their own ideas. I think at the moment, until that is all settled and done, I don't think there's any concern about his future whatsoever, because if you sacked Sean Dyche, are you going to go and get to keep your team in the Premier League? Somebody like Sean Dyche.
Yeah. David Moyes. But anyway, I think not yet. But if he starts losing games like this, pressure will mount. And could it be a Moyes come in, last few games at Goodison, keep us in the Premier League? Maybe that's for one after Christmas for us.
Okay. Newcastle taking on Brighton. Newcastle fans can breathe a bit of a sigh of relief now that the England manager's role has been filled. Newcastle are 1.97. They haven't got a good record against Brighton. Brighton have lost just 2 of their 14 Premier League meetings with Newcastle. They just happen to be the last 2 they've played at Newcastle. Brighton are 3.65, 3.75 for the tie. I would imagine that Brighton prize could be tempting for a few. Your thoughts and score prediction, please, Paul.
Tight. I think obviously at Newcastle gives them the edge. You look at where they both are in the league, both got 12 points, done it very, very differently. I think Newcastle are better than they were last year. We obviously know the huge injuries that Newcastle suffered last season. Still think they've got a problem down that right-hand side. They'll be obviously looking to strengthen there in January. But I think with the manager's future settled, the stability around the club, Brighton have still got a few issues defensively. I saw them last week against Tottenham. Out of possession, that can get picked open too easy. And I think going up to Newcastle, I think they'll have the job on. It's a tough place to go at the best of times. I don't think defensively they're in a good place. Brighton, they do concede. And seeing what Tottenham did to them last week, Newcastle have got the players and the pace to also do that to them, especially somebody like, the Anthony Gordon, Isak, if he's fit. I think I can see this as a home win, and quite a comfortable home win, in all honesty. I'm going to go 3-0 Newcastle.
I have to say, by the way, I was wrong about the Brighton stat. They actually got a 1-1 tie last time at Newcastle, but they did lose here back in 2023, 4-1. So that was a 3-goal margin. You've gone for Newcastle to win this one fairly convincingly, 3-0. I will tell you that no player has drawn more cards from their fouls this season than Bruno Guimaraes. He's got 6 cards already so far this season. He was always good for yellow. Here's my stat of the weekend. I ought to have a stat of the weekend. Brighton's Mitoma's carried the ball further than any other winger in the Premier League so far this season. 1,568 metres is where he's carried the ball. I don't know how they work this stuff out, but they do. Comfortable home victory for Newcastle. What about you, Neil? What's you thinking?
Same. 11 unbeaten Newcastle at home. Last time they were beaten in the Premier League was January against Man City, narrowly 3-2. So they've done all right at home. Tough place to go, and it is. Brighton have won 2 of their last 16 away Premier League games, Sheffield United and Everton. Brighton aren't going to these big teams and beating them, and I don't think that will change this weekend. So I'm all over Newcastle to win. Like Paul, score 3 goals, but I do give Brighton a goal, so 3-1 for me.
3-1, so 3-0 and 3-1. So you are quite similar in your thinking. I don't think 3-1 is a scoreline that's ever occurred between these two sides. We've had a 4-1 and a couple of 3-0s, but we've never had a 3-1. We'll move on to, if we're going to consider Ipswich Everton a 6-pointer, I guess we could say the same between these two sides. Southampton against Leicester. Southampton are 2.32. Russell Martin's come out this week and said, look, I'm only going to be judged on winning games, nothing more. That's all you can be judged on as a manager. Leicester are 3.05, 3.55 for the tie. Leicester City have scored 4 goals in the last 2 away games in the Premier League. Southampton have scored 4 goals all season. Is that Leicester price tempting? What's your thoughts on this one, Neil? And a score prediction as well, please.
All over Leicester at that price. That is absolutely a great price. Southampton, what is going on with Southampton? I just don't fancy them in any game, and this is a massive game for them. The last Premier League win was in March 2023. Against Leicester. That was the last time they won a Premier League game. I don't think they will win. I've been impressed with Leicester in terms of scored in every game so far. They haven't had a clean sheet. Maybe this is the time they get that clean sheet. Just can't back Southampton the way they're playing at the moment. So Leicester at that price, yes, to win. 1-0.
Oh, tight. Can everybody tell me what the scoreline was almost 7 years to the very day of this recording between these two sides?
No, was that the 9-0? Was that the 9-0?
That was the 9-0. 7 years to the day, almost. I think we're missing 2 or 3 days. Leicester won 9-0 at Southampton. And that 9 is fairly significant as well because these teams played each other in the Championship last season. Leicester won 5-0 at home to Southampton and 4-1 at Southampton. So Leicester last season against Southampton actually scored 9 across the 2 games. Are you backing the away side to get something from this one, Paul?
I think all the stats suggest that, yeah, but I've got to go against them at some point, and I think Southampton they've got to win at some games. I mean, Russell Martin says he's judged on wins. Well, he hasn't had any yet, so they've played 7 and won none, and that's got to turn around at some point. A home game against Leicester is the perfect opportunity for them to do it. I've not seen anything from them this year to suggest that it would happen. They're kamikaze-style defending, the way they play out from the back against the better teams. If Leicester press them high, the pace that Leicester have got in their team and the quality that they've got, they might score a bagful. But I'm going to back the home team to turn it round. They've had the international break to work with his team. I'm going to go for a 2-1 hard-fought home win, Southampton.
Wow. I did not see that coming at all. It does surprise me that Southampton are the kind of clear favourites to win this one at 2.32. Of course, price is correct at the time of recording. Leicester over 3 could be tempting. Leicester's previous 3 away games have generally been goals, and they got points at some tough places as well. So I was surprised at Southampton 2.32, but you've gone for them to win. A complete change of thinking between the two. You've gone for an away win, Neil, and a home win for Paul. Bournemouth against Arsenal is where we are going next. Bournemouth are 5.1, Arsenal are 1.67, and the tie between these two is 4. Bournemouth have lost 11 of their 14 Premier League meetings against Arsenal, which is no surprise at all. Saka, by the way, could be scoring his 50th goal for Arsenal in the Premier League, the youngest to reach that margin for Arsenal. And also, if Arsenal win this one, it will be their 2000th victory in the Premier League. So there you go. Paul, what's your thinking for Bournemouth against Arsenal?
Well, the international break came just at the right time for Bournemouth, didn't it? They were on a real poor run of form going into that. 3 defeats from the last 4 games, winning 1 of them. They've got a poor record against the top sides. They don't generally perform well. 5 straight defeats to this Arsenal team, who were unbeaten in the last 10 games, won 7, lost 3. Drawn 3. I just don't see how Bournemouth can get anything. I think Arsenal this season, they're a different animal. They know how to win games. They're rugged. They fight games out. They, like Manchester City, haven't quite clicked into gear. But you look around a lot of bookmakers. I don't know what price we are on the title, but actually, Arsenal, for the first time in a long time, have gone above Manchester City with a lot of bookmakers as favourites for the title. And I think this game will just give them another opportunity to enhance those odds. So I think it'll be comfortable. I think Arsenal will go there and they will win 3-0.
Okay, which is what they did at the Emirates last time these teams played. I actually spoke to an Arsenal fan. He said, "Oh yes, it'll be tough at Bournemouth. It's always tough at Bournemouth." I said, "You do realise you've won there 3-0 and 4-0 in the last 2 visits?" He went, "Oh, I didn't realise that. You've 7-0 on aggregate."
Last 5 games. The last 5 games.
Absolutely. I think the one thing that sticks in the Arsenal, because I was there at that game where Bournemouth lost 3-2 at Emirates. They scored after 7 seconds. Reece Nelson scored the winner for Arsenal with 7 seconds to go. It was a titanic game. I think that's the one that sticks in the mind for Arsenal fans when they play Bournemouth. So 3-0 for Arsenal to win away at Bournemouth. You're thinking here, Neil?
Comfortable away win. Yeah, I like Bournemouth, and I think they'll be nowhere near trouble. I think they'll be closer to mid-table. I think clean sheets is a problem. They haven't had any this season, and I don't think they will this weekend. Arsenal haven't lost away in the Premier League since New Year's Eve. 2024, they have not lost an away game in the Premier League. Last one was Fulham. So, real deal Arsenal. Absolutely. Very much right in that title mix. And here's the question for you. Bournemouth against Arsenal. Bournemouth have beaten Arsenal once in their history. Once. Who got the winning goal? Callum Wilson got the equaliser, 2018. 1-1. Who got the winner for Bournemouth that day? He was a winger, and he came from Liverpool.
I was about to say Matt Ritchie, but I don't think he's got any Liverpool connections at all.
He hasn't.
No.
Oh.
Which is why I didn't want to say him.
Went off the radar. He did all right for a bit and then just went off the radar.
I had it and it's just gone.
Must be close to
What
10
mil.
Jordan I. Jordan I. Jordan I.
Yeah, of course it was.
Right, I've got 3-1. 3-1 for Arsenal for me. 3-1 to Arsenal.
Are you going for a goal? They generally don't score. Aside from that 3-2 bizarre game at the Emirates a few seasons ago, they generally don't get a goal. So you've gone for 3-1. for Arsenal. Jordan Ibe, by the way, when he left Bournemouth, he went to Derby, Danaspor, and then ended up at Ebbsfleet United. So that's the career path of Jordan Ibe. So you've both gone for Arsenal to win. Paul, you've got them to keep a clean sheet. Neil, you've got them to concede 1, but you've both gone for an Arsenal victory. And to round off match day 8 of the Premier League, it's a big clash on Monday night. It's Forest at home to Crystal Palace. Forest at 2.32, Crystal Palace at 3.05.
Announcer on us.
Do you know what? I fit. So Crystal Palace anywhere up north for Crystal Palace is a real pain to get to, and they've got to do it on a Monday night. 3.55 for the tie. Forest have taken 11 points from 15 in their last 5 away games. At home, they've taken 2 points from 15. So again, a little bit like Chelsea and a little bit like West Ham, Forest's away form is much better than their home form. They have got Chris Wood, who's got 4 goals in 5 for Forest. Palace probably expecting a better season than they've had so far because they ended last season so well. Neil, your thoughts and score prediction, please, from the City ground?
Yeah, away win for me. Crystal Palace, I think they're going to start kicking into a little bit of form, get away from the relegation places. Last time they won away at Forest was 2011. Glenn Murray got the winner. I think Mateta is going to be the match winner for Crystal Palace. 1-0 for Palace away. Mateta to be the match winner. He's an absolute handful. Came on and made a big difference against Liverpool. They never scored Palace, but they caused Liverpool a lot of problems. So, away win, 1-0.
They generally have been scoring goals away from home, Crystal Palace. I'm just having a look at this now. They've actually only failed to score in 1 of their previous 10 away games in the Premier League, so they are good for a goal. Palace, and I've already said that Forest home form is not very good at all. The last 3 games between these two sides have finished a draw. Has this got a draw written all over it for you, Paul?
Absolutely. You know where I'm going with this? This fixture has got a history of draws, and this has got draw written all over it. I can't believe that Palace are still looking for the first win of the season. Bearing in mind, you look at what Forest have done. I think these are the 2 surprise teams of the start of the Premier League season, if you like. Forest surprising with what they've done, only lost 1 game. Palace without winning. I mean, the way that Palace finished the season, you wouldn't have expected them to start the way they have. So, a draw for me. I mean, the good draw last time out, Forest against Chelsea. 1 each, 1 apiece. Yeah. This is a game that Palace can't lose.
Yeah, this is. I did put 1-1 down in ahead of the game on that one, and I'm thinking, don't go for anything other. No, I got it right, 1-1. Yeah, you wouldn't be surprised. Palace at 18th, Forest at 10th. You wouldn't be surprised if actually at this stage of the season it would have been the other way round between these two sides. I have to say, Forest have their away form is what's really thrust them up the table, not their home form. So that completes match day 8 of the Premier League. Good luck with all your bets. Please do gamble responsibly. Before we wrap up, just going to look back at the selections for match day 7. Also going to let you know that this is now what you're playing for. You are now playing for the sportsbet.io trophy. This is going to go to, look at the smile on Paul's face. Instantly he wants it. So that is what you are playing for. Now, you very much started on fire, Paul. You led 4-0. Straight away, rocketed into a lead, but somebody is coming up on the rails, and after match day 7, it's now 4-3. Neil, you've pulled back. You're back in the game. 3 consecutive victories for you. So you're feeling confident this week?
Could have done with that international break. Momentum was flying, but we'll go again and kick on.
I do always
just wondered how we're getting on in the game that Mel's made up because he was losing the other game. He made the trebles game up, so I just wondered what the score on that was as well.
Well, I'm going to get to the trebles next, but I do find it funny on the WhatsApp messages when a certain goal lets the score go down, and we know the feelings of Neil Mellor. Oh, damn, that goal's scuppered me. So it could be 4-4 after match day 8. Who knows? We'll track it next week. The treble. So this is where the guys pick their best 3 selections. We'll go through those shortly, but I will tell you that so far it is 5-2 in favour of Mr. Paul Robinson. So he's storming ahead with the trebles, and his smile tells you everything. He's delighted. Look at that beaming smile. Right, Neil, give us your treble. Your best 3 picks for this weekend.
Yeah, I used to go for value. That's the difference with me, not picking the bankers. Anyway, I've gone 2 bankers this week and 1 risky one. My 2 bankers are Newcastle and Arsenal, and my risky one is Manchester United.
Oh, I thought that might be Leicester. I thought you might have stuck Leicester in there because you were a big fan of Leicester at 3. So, isn't it funny how you say my risky one is Man United to win at home to Brentford? That's the sign. That's the sign of the times, isn't it, with Man United?
I enjoyed saying that. Really enjoyed saying that. That bottom half.
Paul, your treble for Matchday 8, please.
Well, if you want to make money, you just stick with my trebles every week, don't you? Arsenal, Man City, Man United. There you go. There's another winning treble for you.
Okay, so Arsenal, Man City and Manchester United. Whatever your bets are, please do gamble responsibly. And that wraps it up for Matchday 8 of the Premier League. We will be back in 7 days' time, of course, to look ahead to Matchday 9. Whatever your bets are, as always, gamble responsibly.